Hey guys, it's Bryon. Welcome back to the show. Today we're talking about video content and why your business needs it. We'll see you guys after the intro. Peace.
Welcome back, y'all. It's Bryon
and Brandi
with the What's the Business Podcast. As you heard our co-host announce that today we're going to focus on content, what it is and why your business needs it. And this is going to be something that is an ongoing series with us because we're passionate about it and this is the business that we exist in. And so from a business standpoint, Brandi, can you kind of tell them in your words when I say content, what do you think that means?
Just a catalog of information available. There's your website or social media or even mail.
And that's a good way to explain it. The reality is, I know that, in the YouTube world, it's really easy to get caught up in YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. It's really easy to get caught up in the aura of the content creator. Super young, attractive, fit people creating videos with music and new dances and all this other stuff. And they're really slickly produced and, everything looks great on them. And the reality is you have access to some of the same tools, but you don't have to do the same methods. Now, if you want your content to look like that, you absolutely can. But there's more than one kind of content. You could serve video content. Right now, this podcast is audio content. You can write a blog. You can have an email letter that goes out, that's kind of journaling your journey in the industry that you're in. There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different methods of content. Really, from a business owner standpoint, content is really that thing that gives you credibility in your space and it allows you to meet your customer where they're at so that you can help guide them to a rational and logical purchase decision. I think the thing that people kind of overlook when it comes to creating content is it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be you. It's got to represent you. If it's too polished, if it looks too shiny, and your business isn't one of those shiny kind of businesses, or you don't have that same personality to pull it off, your content isn't going to really match the tone of what your business is. If you are really over the top and you have a great personality and that's what attracts people to you, if your content is very school teacher-ish, professor-ish, you're going to have a mismatch because the thing that draws people to you isn't the thing that you're advancing and putting forward on your content. So you're not putting the you in it. Brent, what are some things that you've seen when people overthink the content piece of it? What are some pitfalls that you can see?
Stop and freeze and don't do it. Or they put out something that has several ideas. It's not concise. So those are a couple of things that I can think of.
Right. And to follow up on the concise part of it, we're going to try to keep this concise because that's the point of this. We want to create something that is kind of to the point and can give you some groundwork if you're considering starting the content arm of your business. And the reality is you should start the content arm of your business. I think a lot of things that get overlooked, especially as somebody that's done consulting with people is, and I'm going to talk a little bit marketing, but we're going to tie it back to content. When people hire a marketer for their business, what happens is they hire the marketer and then they kind of take a step back from promoting their business because they feel like, well, the marketer is doing X, Y, and Z, and I need the marketer to do all of it. The reality is the marketer is really supposed to partner with you to amplify your voice in the business. And so if you have a thing that connects with your clients that you're doing, as the consultant, I encourage you to continue doing that. Just sitting back and letting the marketing happen is not a good way to do it. And completely outsourcing it without your input, without you driving the bus is not a way to do it because what you're doing is you're taking out the unique element of the business, which is you. The unique element of your business is not your product. It's not your service. It's you. It's the way that you can solve people's problems, the way that you can answer people's questions. That's the part of the business that is compelling and interesting and gets people to follow along and consider you an expert in your field is you. If you remove the you element from your business, you don't really have a business that people are going to be interested in. And so that's what the content does. The content establishes the tone of the business and who's running it, who's behind the scenes. Now, there are some pitfalls with that. If, and Brandi, you can help me out, if you, and we've seen it, especially with all the social justice stuff that's gone down, if you are a racist or some kind of bigot or something, and that's you, don't put that out there in the universe. Don't lead with that. Unless you're fine with selling to people that share your viewpoints, and then dive in. But the other side is you can't be upset when people push back against you and there's social repercussions that end up being economic repercussions. So, but if the part of you that you feel like you need to put out there is diminishing or minimizing somebody because of, you know, race, gender, the whole nine, the whole gamut of demographics that you can use to dismiss somebody. If that is what you're leading with, and that's the part of the content that you're putting out on social media, understand this. Okay, so I'm coming back to it. When I say the content you're putting on social media, I'm talking about the content people can associate with you and your business. So even though you don't make this specific content for your business, if they're able to tie the two things together, you might as well be making content for your business. So if your content is you going on racist screeds and stuff like that online, that's the content you're making for your business. Those two things connect. And so I would advise you not to put that part of you out there in the universe.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yep.
It's not walking on eggshells and it's not cancel culture. The reality is you're dealing with social consequences of your words and actions. And people are tying the two things, what you say on social media negatively about other people, they're tying it to your business. So if you don't want that if you don't want that to be associated with you, don't put it out there with your face on it. But we'll leave that one alone. The you of your business, if you want, when we talk about that you of your business, we're talking about the reasons why you built the business, the reason why you got into what you do. You want to help people, you want to solve their problems, and you have a specific expertise or specific product that you can present that does solve those problems for them. That's the part of you that you need to lead with, especially when it comes to things related to your business. The reality is, there's so many different kinds of content you can put out there, but the bottom line is your content needs to, if it's tied to your business, the content needs to solve a problem that somebody comes to you with. That's how to get people to follow. It doesn't have to be glitzy. It doesn't have to be shiny. It doesn't have to have the newest music. You don't have to do the latest dance move or dance step or any other stuff. If your content solves a problem or it can answer a question or allow somebody to make an intelligent financial decision, that's the content that people are going to invest in. The other side is if it's something that's kind of polarizing and it's a perspective that you have, some expertise that you have, and it's polarizing, people will follow too, so they can argue with you. And eventually, if they listen long enough and you establish your expertise, and I've seen it, they'll develop a grudging respect for what you have to say. So, and then the ones that aren't connecting or don't agree with you are the clients that also aren't connecting with your services and won't agree with the way that you apply your product, service, or expertise to it. And so that allows them to opt out. So those are the different things. Brandi, have you ever followed somebody? Maybe it's not a formal follow, but it's kind of a follow on social media. It's somebody that you don't agree with.
No.
Okay.
If I don't agree with that person, I don't have time to give them energy to argue with them. I'm not that person. But Bryon, have you?
Okay, unfortunately, I am that person. And so, because I'm interested in the way people form their opinions, I'm interested in learning how people think. And so sometimes I will follow somebody that I don't necessarily agree with. And it's not a formal follow because I don't want to, especially if it's something that is a social issue or political issue, I don't want to give them I don't want to give them my endorsement, a tacit endorsement of what they're saying if I feel like it's harmful. But I will follow the train of logic that goes along with it because I'm interested to see what train of logic it is so that I can start spotting it in the real world so that if I start seeing it manifest in the real world, I can decide to disengage with somebody in the real world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just disengage immediately. Like I, I don't have time. I'm not that patient person that wants to figure out somebody's logic or reasoning all the time. Like there are certain things, yeah, I need clarification on why somebody may be saying something, but flat out just pungent disrespect or whatever. No, I'm not. No, and you do it enough for the both of us. So
The big example I have most recently was I wasn't fascinated by Kevin Samuels in terms of the content he was producing. I was fascinated by the audience and the way that he grew the audience and who was engaging in the audience, who was engaging in it. And a lot of people who hated him also followed him religiously. And so from a marketing perspective, I was just following that to see how those people got in there and what brought them to him. And so I was somebody that I disagreed with on most things, but I was fascinated by the crowd of people that were attracting. And so that's kind of one of those examples. But if you're an expert in a field, if you have a level of expertise in the field, you're always going to find that there's a layman out there willing to argue with you about it. I've seen it specifically with some of my friends that own HVAC business. You're going to be seeing, we're going to be hearing from them, not on that topic, but we're going to be hearing from them more about their business and getting into what's the business with their business here in the next couple of weeks. But, you know, posting about what, posting about their expertise in installing and maintaining HVAC components and having somebody hop on and try to disprove them. And so it doesn't always have to, the disagreement more times than not doesn't always have to be a political one in nature, but it can be about what somebody considers to have not, they consider themselves to be knowledgeable about the thing that you actually have working expertise in. And so when you create that content, that does open that door for people to come on and disagree with you. The reality is, if you know what you're talking about, that will win the day. And when I say win the day, it may not win the argument, but it will win the day because people will see this person who doesn't know what they're talking about, railing about something they have no concept of, and you giving them actual logical information that's real and tested and proven. And your audience that wants to ride with you, your core audience is going to go with you. They're going to go with your expertise. And so, but you have to put yourself out there as the expert. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a brief pause for the cause, and then we're going to talk about how to establish it, how to establish that level of expertise utilizing content and a content delivery strategy on your social media platforms, websites, and et cetera. So we'll get to you guys after the break. So when I wanted to get started in the podcasting game, I was looking at different platforms, and I had done podcasts before, and I was looking at something that would allow me to get started as quickly as possible. Because when you're a small business owner, momentum is everything. Things that allow you to get started without a lot of seams or steps allow you to feel some success early on, and it encourages you to keep pushing through. And that's where Anchor comes in. Anchor is the platform that I use. It's a free platform that gives you all the tools you need to get started with your podcast journey. There's all kinds of creation tools that allow you to edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, so it's always at your fingertips. and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other providers. So it allows you to make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And that's huge. That's what I'm talking about with getting that momentum. So if you want to get started and have everything you need to make a podcast in one place, then download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to start your journey. Thanks for tuning in. Back to the show. Welcome back. So earlier, we talked about content and the importance of content. And I'm not going to give everything. We're not going to go over everything because I envision this as being part of a larger conversation that goes on through multiple episodes of this. And I'm going to be doing a live stream here in the next couple of days to ask for more questions about content strategy from small businesses. So I'm going to be reaching out to y'all to ask so we can have intelligent conversations on here about issues that are marketing issues and content delivery issues that are
plaguing your business.
Thank you. I was looking for that word.
I know, I can tell.
So, all right. So from a strategy perspective, what does implementation look like? Because specifically, I know when I'm talking, it sounds like I'm centering video content and I'm really not. I want to emphasize the fact that content is whatever you create for your business. So if you're creating a blog or a newsletter, that's content. If it's posts on social media with pictures of you doing the work, that's content. If it's a video that you post on TikTok that shows a step-by-step on how somebody can do something, do maintenance on something by themselves at home, a DIY kind of thing, that's content. And so really the strategy behind it is placing the content at the point where people interact with your services. So I'll say that, and I'm going to ask, because I haven't really explained the concept to Brandi or where I'm going with it. I want to see if she's picking up what I'm putting down.
Okay. So I'm not. So explain to us.
Okay. So specifically, like say you have your website for your business, right? You have different landing pages for different services, which as a consultant, that is what I endorse for your website. If you have multiple services, you have a landing page for each service so that you can just post a link to that specific service and somebody can go exactly to where the service that they need is, as opposed to stumbling on your website. If you have a piece of content, somebody lands on that page, you put the they land on the landing page and they have questions, basic questions about how the service looks or what it's for. And, if the service is right for them. If you have a piece of content that answers some of those questions for them, if you have a video that explains the problems that your product or service solves for them, or you have a podcast where you're discussing it embedded on there, or even a blog post or a pictures that show their problem and how you actually fix it and resolve it, that's the kind of content that will answer their questions and move them along further into that decision-making cycle that hopefully ends up with them transacting business with you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you want to position that content where people are asking the questions. Now, a lot of times, it's kind of general. So when you make the video, you're like, oh man, we made this video. It's great. We're just going to post it on the front page of our website. And that video that front page of the website video is great if it's just kind of a general overview of all the products or services you offer, or an introduction to who's running the show behind the scenes and who the business actually is. Or you want to talk about the history of it, or your history in the industry, or your position. Those are great things to put on the front page of the website. But when we start drilling down and getting to individual products or services, you need some form of content that explains and answers the questions. It can even be a little FAQ, question and answer little thing where it's just text that Ask the question and then you answer it. Those kind of things are very helpful. Not so much diagrams of machines and all that other stuff, or, technical videos, but if you're dealing with a very technically savvy audience, and that's who specifically interacts with you, that makes sense. If you're selling computer components or something, but if you're really interacting with people that are kind of laymen, I would leave off a lot of the technical tech babble, because they can go online and find that anywhere. When they come to your landing page, they need to have a question answered for them.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm going with it. So how would that look in real life?
I don't know. What does that look like?
So in real life, let's say you are a mechanic,
Okay.
right? You specialize in working on foreign cars and sports cars and, American-made sports cars, right?
Okay.
Maybe it's not even, maybe it's not, let's say you just work on transmissions, right?
Okay.
That's your niche. That's what you focus on. You have the capacity to do other stuff, but the place you really focus on, where you make all your money, is in different kinds of transmissions, right?
Okay.
All right. If you have a video on the service page where people come and see what kind of services you offer, if you have a video that answers the most popular questions that clients ask, that piece of content is going to be very tremendously helpful in helping you convert those people that are tire kickers who are just looking for transmission shops. One, it's going to answer the question. Two, it establishes their trust in you as a business owner, as somebody that's going to offer them helpful advice. It positions you as the expert. And I think that's what is the most important thing, because when you're the expert offering recommendations as opposed to a salesman offering products, the expert has a little bit more cachet.
It's me.
They have a little bit more oomph in there, because it's like the difference between going to, somebody who's trying to sell you a used car versus going to a doctor. You go to the doctor when the doctor makes their expert assessment on you and tells you what you need to do. That's a very powerful thing. You're more likely to do what they tell you to do, even if it costs you more money, because they're the expert and they know. Whereas a lot of times a car salesman is just offering you suggestions, and they're offering you products or services, and they're not positioned as necessarily an expert. Now, there's some very specific things that I would say a car entry level car salesman can do to position themselves as an expert, but y'all gonna have to pay me for that information. You're gonna take me on as a content strategist to explain that. But there's some specific things that you can do to position yourself as an expert. And the number one thing is content that shows your expertise. And it's got to solve a problem. Let's be honest with you, man. I'll be straight up with y'all. The thing that you don't want to do with your content is not really establish yourself as any kind of expert. You're just offering general advice to people that doesn't necessarily solve a pressing issue that they have, or it's advice that they can find anywhere. Because if they can't, if they can solve that problem going anywhere, or, just by clicking around on the internet, and they can find that information anywhere, and they know that they can find that information anywhere, it doesn't exactly establish you as an expert. It just establishes you as the person that just told them something that was obvious. So the what I'm saying is, when you share information, don't get so obsessed with, well, I don't want to give them the special sauce. I don't want to give the secret sauce. I don't want to give away the family recipe. You gotta put that thought out of your mind. Give them something that they can use to solve a problem.
Okay. Is there another reason why people come to you? I think sometimes people come to you as an expert based on your content for a purpose as well.
Yeah.
it's not always a problem. So sometimes, having a general thought or a purpose in mind is also. So somebody may come, going back to your mechanic thing, they are, a specialist in transmission. Somebody may come to your site looking for, okay, I just really bought this really nice car and I really want to maintain it. My purpose on your site is to, how do I maintain that transmission so I get the most mileage out of it before I have to replace it?
Right.
So understand, it's not always just a problem your content can solve. Sometimes it's a purpose that you can provide information for too.
An ongoing purpose and
Yeah.
an idea about, because, okay, I'll throw this one out there for free for any mechanic that's listening. Cause I just talked about offering something that you can't find everywhere. Here's an idea. What if you became a mechanic that specializes in helping people determine whether the used car that they're considering is worth the money?
Okay.
You lead with that. That's on your website. That's on your social media. Hey, are you considering buying a used car? Before you buy anything, you need to call us. We'll run the car through the battery of tests, and we will give you an actual report on your car. Now, I know that there are services that claim to do that, but there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things about, you can't always believe Carfax because they're not always accurate and things like that. Having an expert who's positioned in that space, and that's literally the only thing that they do. They have the capability of fixing other things, but really the only thing they do is they are that person that prevents people from making bad decisions when it comes to used vehicles. You can build a business out of that. And you would need a content strategy that establishes you as the expert. Shout out to Scotty Kilmer because he's kind of mastered that online. He kind of has that on YouTube. If you ever get a chance, check him out. I follow him, and I'm not even a car guy, and I listen to him. But that's kind of where his lane is. But on a local sense, if you wanted to do that, you absolutely could if that was your specialty. And so that's a free piece of advice. And you would create content talking about, just giving case studies of different cars that you've seen and different issues that you've seen, and telling people what to look out for when they're shopping for used cars. Putting that on your website is good, usable information that somebody can't get everywhere, and establishes you as the expert in that specific field. Right?
Yep.
All right. So I put my words in action. I gave you something that you're not going to find everywhere online. Now, take that example and take that example and form it to shape your business.
Yep.
What are some things that you can do? What is content that you can deliver that establishes you as a expert in a specific area of your industry? And what secrets can you share about what you know with the common public that people aren't going to find everywhere? That's the challenge for you. And what content are you going to create? Now, we talked about different types of content. What if I don't like videos? Ask me the question, Brandi. Bryon, what if I don't like videos?
Bryon, I really don't like videos.
So
what can I do?
Well, have you considered podcasting?
No, Bryon, tell me more.
I Sell Words is Brandi and I's company. We can help you launch your podcast from conception to recording to marketing. We can handle all of it. We can get you launched. We have a couple of launch specials on the website. Really, all you got to do is just reach out and contact us, and we'll set up a time to consult with you and figure out what direction you want to go with your podcast. So how can they reach us, Brandi?
They can reach us at mail, MAIL, at isellwords.net. Link in the show notes.
Right. Reach out to us and we can talk about your podcasting future. So if you don't like the video piece of it, you can definitely do audio. If you don't like the audio or video piece of it, I would suggest that we look at blogging. If you're not a writer, we're running out of options here. But again, pick one that you're most comfortable with dabbling around with and start dabbling. That's really what I'm telling you. If you're going to do it on your own, don't be afraid to dabble. It is your business. People expect, people expect to answer their question. If you can come on and answer their questions, they're not going to be concerned that, the color in your video is a little bit off or the audio isn't 100% perfect. If you answer their questions if you give them information that they need to move and make intelligent decisions, it's just not going to happen.
Right. If you can give them value, if they see value in it, they'll overlook the flaws.
Right. And the reality is, as you start delivering that value and you start getting more and more customers that are really in line with what your business philosophy is, here's what the magic is. Now you can start leveling up your production. And then you start hiring people to record you and do videos with your direction. You're telling them kind of how you want it to look, but now you're leveraging their expertise and making you look good. And it's worth it because the content brings in higher quality customers. So, but everybody has a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, pretty much everybody who's a business owner. Now, I don't want to say everybody because I know a couple of people that swear that they don't have smartphones, but pretty much everybody has a smartphone. You start with that because a smartphone gives you a high quality camera in most cases and a decent quality microphone, because what is a telephone?
A microphone
It's a microphone. So you have a
with some sort of transmitter.
it's basically a microphone with a transmitter attached to it. So you have a camera and a microphone. You can get started. To level that up, you buy a mic online that attaches to your phone. $60. You can get a decent one for 60, anywhere from 30 to $60. Attach it to your phone, and now you have better quality sound. Okay. You take another step up, that's where you start getting into the used older school cameras. They may not shoot 4K. They may not have, 10-bit color and all the other stuff. You don't need it yet. Get you an old Canon or old Sony. They're a little bit more expensive now considering the supply chain stuff, but you can find them on websites like KEH or B&H Photo. Get those, and now you have something that can do, 720, 1080. And now you have something that can give you stuff like depth of field and allows you to play around with the colors and gives you a little bit more room to do stuff with. You attach the microphone that you had attached to your phone to your camera, and now you have a decent microphone on it too. That's the next level. And so it's incrementally as you start building out content and the content starts driving more business, you use the money to reinvest in better ways to deliver higher quality content to get an audience that will pay for you to level up.
But Bryan's main point, and this is a Brandi bubble, is just start. Start somewhere. Start with what you have, which is usually your phone in your pocket.
Right. It's just getting started. And understand this, y'all. I mean, let's be real. Your first video is going to suck.
Your 10th video is probably going to suck.
But
and it doesn't have to be a video. It could be audio.
Yeah, your first.
It's going to suck.
Yes.
Your first few.
It's not going to be where you want it to be. That's okay. You can edit it up, but as long as you're answering a question, it doesn't matter. I've seen videos on YouTube that look like they were shot with, some Fisher Price webcam, and they have tens of millions of views because they answered a question or they tickled somebody's fancy and entertained them in some odd way, it made them laugh, made them smile or whatever. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world. You don't have to be the Chris Nolan, the director of Inception or any of the other stuff. Nobody's asking for that. You don't have to make a Scorsese film. You just need to get started. So that's what the important piece is. With the content strategy, the most important step with a content strategy is what?
Get started.
Get started today. So that's what we have today. If you're looking for any kind of content strategy, because now we're going to pivot a little bit.
Okay.
If you're looking for content strategy or even content that answers, the specific kind of content that we were talking about, explainer videos, product videos, and things like that, you need to contact me.
At mail@isowords.net.
Right. I will come on and be your content strategist. I'll also help you implement it. And if we need to, and if the price is right, we'll shoot it to get you started. Product videos or explainer videos talking about specific products or services that you offer, videos that explain, short form videos that explain your business or your position in the industry for your website, little short clips and videos that you can put on YouTube or TikTok to engage potential clients. I can do all of it. We'll do it in a podcast form in most cases where it looks like a podcast interview, or we can come out and sit down and talk about what your unique circumstance looks like and what kind of content you want. So either I'll tell you how to do it or we'll put our heads together and make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's something I am offering. And it's also kind of an entry point for me because maybe the podcast thing is a commitment that you can't make because it's a weekly commitment or a monthly commitment.
At some point in time, it's some type of commitment that you have to take the time out to do.
And if you have that as your longer term goal, start with short form content. And sometimes the short form content is just a little video audio blurb that goes on your website or goes on your social media. I can help you strategize that and create it. So contact me. Links in the show notes. So today, this was kind of our introduction to the importance of content for your small business. We will hopefully have the next follow-up that we do of this specific topic will be kind of us answering questions that we get from y'all about utilizing content for your small business.
So leave us some comments and questions or email us at mail@isowords.net.
All right. And thanks for tuning in. This podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. So whether you're in the Apple podcast world, or you're in the Google podcast world, or whether you're in the Spotify podcast world, and all the other services in between, we're always getting on new platforms. You can find us there. So please share this if this added any value to you, and shoot us those questions at
mail@isowords.net
or via comments on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you see this or hear this. So that's what we have today. We appreciate your time. It's Bryon and Brandi, and we're asking y'all,
what's the business?
talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Peace.